Ladies and gentlemen, good Friday morning or afternoon or evening, wherever you are in the world. We have viewers today from UK also, and usually we do have some in Europe, but wherever you are, good morning. Hope you're having a good day. And welcome to the Toxic Happy Hour, where we are toxic towards scams that delay the adoption of global sound money, because that's straight out evil. So we don't accept it, and we're willing to speak against it because we don't want noobs to be taken advantage of and lose their hard-earned money because some scammers want to get richer. So today we have the pleasure, this is something that Pubby and I have been looking forward to have a good friend of ours from UK, Brian, UK Bitcoin master that came into Bitcoin. We want to hear your story. Several years ago, I believe during the last bull run, and listen to Adam Meister, who taught you to keep a strong hand and not panic, and just hold on and not day trade. And you wanted to take that same mission and help other people because you found that to be helpful. So welcome, Brian. I'm really glad and excited to have you here. You are one of the sweetest, kindest gentlemen in Bitcoin. I know Pubby agree with me. So welcome to the show. And what are you drinking, mate?
Oh, wow. Firstly, thanks for having me on, guys. It's absolutely superb to be with you both. I'm drinking my coffee. For those that don't know, I've actually had a recent spell in hospital, and I've been quite poorly, and I'm sort of feeling a bit better now. So I'm trying to stay away from the beer. Do I like an American beer? Do I like a Budweiser? Of course I do. But for now, I'm trying to follow doctor's orders and get well. So I'm on the coffee this evening. I know it's this morning for you.
Yeah, for me it is. For Pubby, it's a perfect pub time. Pubby, what are you having?
Yeah, 2 o'clock here. Just having a nice little Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. An IPA is always nice. And yeah, I'll make it up for the loss of Brian not being able to partake, and maybe I'll have an extra beer for him today.
Hey, you have one. Absolutely looking forward to it.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm having my coffee. There may be something in it. A little American from over in the Kentucky area, I believe. So here we are. We haven't prepared anything major, but we all love to talk about Bitcoin and hang out with friends. That's what we do here. So I don't know. Why don't we start out with price trading sideways? And people, like, I've seen people on my eToro saying, oh, Bitcoin is going to crash, and you know, these things. I'm like, we are in the middle of a bull run. That doesn't end here. We're going higher. Have a little bit of patience, or you're going to lose your buying power. Brian, what's your take on what do you care, and what's your take on where we are?
Well, to be honest with you, one of the things that I try to drive home to people that I'm talking to is, a lot of the time there's not going to be a lot going on. Everybody wants to bull run every single day of every single month of every single year, and the harsh reality is, and I always try to simplify it, Anders, for I mean, I hopefully I tell you guys my proper story, but I've sort of came into Bitcoin 4 years ago, totally uneducated from school, spent many years as a lorry driver, so I don't really understand the technicals. But here's what I've learned. If you're going to get into Bitcoin, the one thing you got to get your head around is the 210,000 block theory, or the 4-year cycle. And a lot of that cycle, it is going to be moving sideways, or it might be going down, and you just got to deal with that and not look at those flipping charts every day, which people do. I can look at the chart every day. I've got it on over there. I know exactly what the price is. But here's the difference between me and somebody that hasn't got the mega strong hand that I've got. I can't be fudded out no matter what happens on that chart. Nothing on that chart can FUD me out, because I'm in this for my daughter Buffy, who's in the chat with us right now. My daughter, I'm in this for future generations of my family. Hey, Buffy, that's my lovely daughter, bless her. She supports me everywhere I go, and she's dollar cost averaging Bitcoin. So, most people that
and your wife. And your wife
Elaine, my lovely wife, Elaine, Mrs. UK, she supports it as well. She loves what's going on with our Bitcoin pot. So the sideways charts, you know, most people start to get fidgety and they feel they've got to go and do something with their Bitcoin, or they're getting bored with it, or, you know, then, you know, you start reading the mainstream media FUD and they start talking about, you know, this is it, you know, Bitcoin's hit its peak now, it's all down here from now on in, you know, Bitcoin's going to die for the 400th time. It's just fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And I'll tell you what it is, people, from my own personal point of view, that is the institutions and the MSM, or the mainstream media. They want to fudge you out of your Bitcoins so they can buy it on sale and hold it for 100 years. That's what I think.
I think so too. And I just want to raise our glasses for Mrs. Elaine, UK Bitcoin Master, gin and tonic in the UK Bitcoin household. We appreciate it. Cheers to all of you watching and in the chat. It's Friday. Let's
Cheers.
let it loose and just have a good time. Love it. Pubby, how you doing? And what do you think about what Brian is telling us here?
Well, look, you know, obviously I'm in Brian's camp. After listening to Adam Meister myself, I found Brian's channel, and it all just made sense. It all clicked, just went full. You know what? The rest of the stuff is just noise and garbage. And you know, when you go into Bitcoin like that, at that point, yeah, you ride out sort of the bear market, but the sideways action means nothing. I'm laughing now because I remember, was it July maybe? We just could not break through that $10,000 number. I mean, it was 2 months. I thought it was like 9,400. And then guess what? It popped up. And I remember we were like stuck at 14 for a while. And all of a sudden you go from a new all-time high in December of 20,000 to $58,000. Yes, there's going to be a pullback. And you know what? Bitcoin just doubled in the span of a month. And you're worried about going sideways or even dropping. You know, if it drops down to 30,000, you're still up within a few months of the all-time high. By what percentage? It's funny. We had the shortest memories. Bitcoiners had the shortest memories, especially the noobs, of where it's been and where it's going. And I laughed. You know, people have no problem dropping their future savings into a 401k for 40 years. And I don't know what they call it there, Brian. That's our main retirement account program here. Everyone doesn't think anything about putting money, letting it sit for 40 years. But my goodness, yeah, if it sits for a month and doesn't jump 100%, they want to sell. The psychology is insane.
Yeah. It's bizarre. I find it bizarre. I don't find it bizarre, but it is bizarre, isn't it? You know, when you zoom out and look at March to 12th last year, and let's use the word crash. The whole thing crashed down around us. The stock market's crashed, Bitcoin crashed, and that is it. Everybody's like, and here we are coming up to 12 months later, you know, and we've got a Bitcoin hovering at what, 48.3, 48.4 right now. You know, if we go to 58k, and then I get people that I've introduced to Bitcoin messaging me saying, "Oh my Lord, it's all crashing. You know, my portfolio, there's £200 been wiped off what I put in a couple of days ago. What have I done?" And then I get a message from a friend of mine living, you know, abroad saying, you got me into Bitcoin, and all of a sudden I've put this money in and now I'm 1,200 euros down. I've lost 1,200 euros. And it's like, jump on a call. You haven't lost anything. It's on paper. Hold it. Hold it for a long time, and that will rebound and you will thank me. And that's a really difficult thing to get people to see.
You know, it's something as simple as, you know, dear nervous people, go have a look at the chart. Look at the last bull run we were in. We had 6 corrections, I believe it was, of 30% or more. Nothing goes up in a straight line, especially not something that goes up very high, very fast. There will be situations where there will be some people taking some profits. You know, maybe they were early or whatever, and while buyers are just catching their breath and waiting for 2 weeks for their finances to pass through and get accepted at the exchange. A shout out to all you cool guys in the chat, and RDBDC, fellow guy here from UK. Dude lives near Stonehenge actually knows about it in detail. He was on the show a long time ago, and he's one of the best memers on Bitcoin Twitter. There's a group of really cool ones, Pubby actually being one of them. So yeah.
Let me just say to RD, I've lost it. Where's it gone? RD, what did you say? RDTC?
So RD, there he is on the screen, RDBTC.
Right, okay. Him and I ought to connect because we are not a million miles away in the UK. And it's great to know. I've met several Bitcoiners that have reached out to me, DM'd me on Twitter, and we had a coffee, if you can. We've had a coffee and we've chewed the fat for 4 or 5 hours, and it's absolutely superb. So I'm actually, I don't like letting people know where I am, but I'm not a million miles away from RDBTC.
Awesome. I just have a comment also on what we just discussed about this sideways action. Again, as Pubby said, look, just from the beginning of the year, we're still up like 66% or something. Like, come on. What I wanted to say is that, so what was it this morning that Michael Saylor came out and said, thank you once again for trading sideways. I just bought $10 million more worth of Bitcoin. Like, what is it that you don't understand? And as I tweeted recently, which is still my pinned tweet, you know, Michael Saylor so far allocated approximately 2.2 billion to Bitcoin combined the last 6, 7, 8 months, and allocation to shitcoins, all of them together, all 9,000 shitcoins together, nothing. So, but Brian, let's hear your story. You're originally a lorry driver or a truck driver. I'm not sure if that is just a word difference from US to UK. And how did you get into Bitcoin? How was your journey?
Okay, before I do that, can we talk about the chart just for 1 more minute?
Sure.
I just
Whatever you want to say.
I just want I've just got the chart on my second computer, and I'm not a whiz by any step. Okay, but if you actually look back at the 2017 bull run, I think something like 5 or 6 pretty major corrections on the way up to 20k. So here we are now in 2021, which is another year, the next year following the halving, so the same as 2017. And I'm looking at the chart here, and if I look at the 8th of January this year, we've got a Bitcoin at 41.9. Okay, and if you actually start to look at what then happened leading up to approximately the 27th of January, it took a tumble sideways and down to 28k. 28k from, what did I just say, 40 odd k. Okay, and then it recovered and went on a bull run upwards all the way up to 57, 58k. So if you actually zoom in on January, there's one big crash. Here we are again. Correction, Rocky Palumbo will wrap my knuckles if I use the word crash. He always does when I'm in my chat, and he's in this chat. So correction. And here we are having another correction. But here's the thing. We will ultimately move sideways a bit. Then we'll come out of that correction and we will go on another charge. And then there'll be another correction and sideways movement. Yep. It will settle. It will, we'll gather our thoughts or whatever it is, and then Bitcoin will go off on another charge until the FOMO kicks in. So I keep saying to people, just don't watch the daily chart. Zoom out and look at the last 12 months and see where we're at, people.
Yes, and the chart I threw up here, I have some issues with my computer, and I don't want to spend sats on buying an expensive computer, at least not yet. So it's still in Pathfinder. I can't actually left click and open it up. Somebody might be able to help me. I don't know. But that chart that you can see there is the two first having bull runs, the light blue being the first one, being quite steep, the dark blue being the one in 16, 17. And right now we're in the red one. So I think it's very, there's solid reasons to expect that, this bull run, of course, it's not a copy of what happened before, but it's just nowhere near its ending. It's, we still have a long way to go. And personally, I expect to see 300,000 this year. And I think Q3 is likely. But there we go. Brian has premiered as a top technical analysis right here on the Toxic Happy Hour.
No. I certainly am not. I spend a lot of time chatting with my good friend Rocky on that. He tries to teach me, and it doesn't go in. I'm an OG. I'm a life OG, people. You know, what I know is, what I know about Bitcoin right now is, oh my goodness, I wish I was 20 years younger, but I can't change that. It is what it is. I can do my bit while I'm here to help people build their strong hand.
We want to hear more about your story, but Pubby, you have some questions for Brian on that, or no, you want to dig in?
No, you know, here's the great thing on Brian, and I'm always curious, especially, you know, we had you know, Greg Foss was on last week, and you know, hell, I'm almost 50. He's his late 50s. I always love to get the perspective of the older generation of Bitcoiners that come into this, because it is very rare to come into this technology, and you don't have to get the tech, but I love the fact all you need is the concept. And I joke sometimes with my friends, you know, they tell you need 10,000 hours to become an expert at something.
You've read that book, haven't you?
yeah, exactly. And what I laugh at is 10,000 hours of podcasts and reading all the classic Bitcoin books and articles has taught me one thing: buy Bitcoin. That's it. Just buy it, put it to the side. That's all you need to do. So Brian's already cracked the code on that, man. He doesn't have to get down into the weeds on things. He just buys Bitcoin and tells people to do the same. And I tell you what, man, he's doing the Lord's work here.
Bless you.
I agree. So why don't you tell us some more about your story and how you found Bitcoin and your learning journey and dabbling with technical analysis and shitcoins? I'm kidding.
No, you're not going to get that from me. The reason I want to tell my story, and this may get slightly controversial. I don't think it will, but I need to put something out there, if I may. So yeah. Before I tell my story, you know, how many people would put their hands up and say when they were first approached about Bitcoin, they were skeptical, you know, and how many people out there are so skeptical, even what you said earlier, Anders, about, you know, are you blind? Michael Saylor's buying more. Are you blind? But, you know, most people will die broke because they're too skeptical to delve into anything, peel the layers back, evaluate it properly, and then walk away. They just walk away saying, no, it can't be real. So I want to tell my story, and I want to draw a comparison with my other business and what we're doing in Bitcoin. Is that okay with you guys?
Yes.
Absolutely. Because it's totally relevant.
Brian, let me say the what's it called, like the platform that Toxic Happy Hour is for us. It's I enter the pub with my very good friend Pubby. We're just here to hang out, have fun, have a cup of coffee or water, whiskey or beer, whatever, and we chat Bitcoin. You're our friend. If you want to tell us something that you have in your heart, that's what we're here for.
That's what I want to do. Okay, so I left school at 15 with no qualifications. My parents tried to get me to get a good education, and I was just playing truant. I was up on the roof throwing stones at the kids down in assembly, and I hated school. And because I was such a, my daughter's listening, this is not a good example, but it is what it is. Because I was such a little terror at school, there was an agreement between the headmaster and my parents that I would leave school early. Let's just say that, because I was too disruptive. I'm not proud of that, but it is what it is. So I got no qualifications whatsoever, apart from a really low grade in technical drawing and woodwork, which stood me in no good stead for anything. So then I bummed through life for 5 years, really dead end jobs. I worked on building sites. I had a motorcycle. I had a bad motorcycle accident, which is what ended my love affair with motorbikes. And then when I was 21, I got my license and I became a big truck driver. I don't know what you call it in America, a truck driver. We call it lorry driver here. I drove the biggest trucks you can drive on British roads. And you know what? I loved it. I thought I'd do it till I die. And then unfortunately, I was struck down with a really, really, really bad illness that I still carry with me today. And that illness took me on a roller coaster ride of terrible, terrible health. I had many spells in hospital. I've had new joints fitted in my hands that didn't work. I've had more drugs pumped into my body than I care to remember. I tried to take my own life on 3 occasions because I was just absolutely in horrendous pain. This is what I don't tell many people. My daughter's in the chat. She would verify this. And so that is how I was living my life. And I was driving lorries. I was really, really ill. I couldn't walk more than 10 paces in front of the other without screaming in pain. But I needed a living for my family because I wasn't one of these white collar workers or blue collar workers, whatever it is they are, fancy people with suits that get paid even if they don't work. So if I didn't go in for a day, I didn't get any money. I had a mortgage like everyone else. And so I kept going to work, and it was totally horrendous. That's the only thing I can say. And then in 1996, I got made redundant for the 3rd time, that lost my job, sacked, whatever you want to call it, for the 3rd time. And that is when my ex-wife and I, who I'm really great friends with even today, my daughter will tell you that, I'll do anything for her. I won't see any harm come to her. We parted ways. It was, it is what it is. And that was when I met little bit after that, I met my lovely wife, Elaine. And in 1996, that is when, as an ex-lorry driver, broke on my knees, losing my home, somebody presented me with a business opportunity. Now, this is the bit where I want people to just, instead of going, oh, what? And just tuning out, listen. Because it's so easy when we talk of Bitcoin for people to go, oh, what a load of crap, and move on. And people do, and we can't change that. Okay. But what actually happened was I was Mr. Skeptical. In fact, I was probably Mr. Cynical. Okay. Anything out there that looked too good to be true normally was, and normally is, actually. Now, that people can say too good to be true about Bitcoin, can't they? But, I then go straight back in and say, look, you're going to need to sit on this thing for 4 years, 8 years, 10 years, if you're young, 20 years, so if you call that an overnight success, then, if you call that, a get rich quick scheme, then you're totally brain dead if I'm telling you to, to hodl for 4 years, 10 years, whatever it might be, if you take my point. So I was presented with this opportunity, and the opportunity was in an industry called MLM. That's the controversial part. And everybody thinks MLMs are scams, and they are. Most MLMs, you are going to lose money. But just like Bitcoin and poop coins, okay, you get into a poop coin, you get into an ICO back in 2017. How many people lost their money? Did that mean that Bitcoin was a scam? No, it didn't. The point I want people to take away from this is, in any industry on the planet, there are many, many, many scams, but there are also really great companies. So if I buy a car and it's dodgy and it fails on me, do I never buy cars again, or do I go to a better dealership? Yeah. So therefore, I was very, very lucky, and I'm telling you this for a reason, because it links to Bitcoin. I was very lucky that I found an MLM company out of Scottsdale in Arizona. I've been with them now for 24 years. It's given me a full-time income for 24 years without the need to work for anybody else. My income is based on, who said 10,000 hours? It was you, Pubby, wasn't it? 10,000 hours. Okay. For me to get a 6% residual income on my other business, I'm going to have to invest between 100 and 300 hours of my time invested into somebody that joins my team, to teach them everything I know, to work with them, to be there to pick them up when they're frustrated, and no, it's not Herbalife. When they're frustrated, to ask them to refocus on what they want out of life when they say, I can't be asked, I don't want to do this, which is why on my Bitcoin show, I always finish with a quote, because quotes are normally truisms put into an image. It's like, if you think you can, you can. And if you think you can't, you can't, which means whatever's going on in here, that is what your destiny will be. Because if you think you can't do something, you ain't going to go and do it. So I don't want to bore people rigid, but for 24 years, I've been with one company. It's allowed Elaine and I to go and live just off the west tip of North Africa, down in the Canary Islands for a couple of years, enjoying the sunshine, retiring. I've got an income from many countries, and I love what I do. And what I do is I help people build extra second incomes, 200, 500 pound a month, £1,000 a month. Now, why is that relevant? Because number one, in our industry, there are really great companies that give you great support, that look out for you, that the career plan is set up so that the new person coming in builds an income and earns 48% when they get a success, and I get 6. If I was getting 48 and they were getting 6, that's a Ponzi scheme. That's unfair. That's loaded, so only the people in at the start make all the money. So I love what I do, and anybody can have any type of debate they want with me on the MLM industry, and I'll stand firm on my belief that in every industry there are scams that are going to run off with your money, there are middle average companies where you can earn a little bit, and then there are an exceptional few companies where we've got so many multimillionaires in our company. So how is that relevant to Bitcoin? Because for me, I believe, and Pubby, you've heard me say this loads of times on my show, and I've said it on Twitter as well, and that is from day one of discovering Bitcoin. Yes, when my friend Gary gave me a call, Elaine and I spent 2 hours on Skype with him. We were living down in the Canary Islands, so he Skyped us. I'd never heard of Bitcoin. I'd never heard of cryptocurrency. It all sounded awfully strange to me. But as soon as he said what he said, and Elaine, my lovely wife, she is analytical by nature. That's her nature. She's an analyst. So everything Gary told us, she said, her response was, why? And he came back and he answered it. And basically, after just under 2 hours, I jumped onto YouTube and I found Adam Meister. And I also found a really old YouTube video with Roger Ver and some of the others on it talking about Bitcoin. You've probably all seen it. And literally from day one, I bought my first Bitcoin by the end of that evening, which was a nightmare trying to do they weren't KYC back then, but the, saying, do you remember when you used to have to write it out on a bit of paper? This is my name. I'm buying this for my own use. Do you ever did any of that? Because I went on local Bitcoins. So I got into Bitcoin, and I've never, ever, ever once, not ever once, had any fluctuation in my strong hand from day one. Now, why is that? I believe because my 24 years in a company where all you do is face rejection has stood me in good stead to understand that you should not listen to any type of mainstream media. Do your own research, get in the rabbit hole, draw your own conclusions. If it feels right to you, don't let those people around you that want to tell you, you want to be careful of that. I've heard about that before. It doesn't work. They don't work. You're going to run off with your money. You've got to tune them out, and you've got to tune them out right away. So for me, I believe that I came into this with no education. I came into my MLM company with no education. That MLM company is going to pay me that residual income until I die. Okay? Even if I don't work. That then brings me to my next point, and Rocky Palumbo always says it on my show. He calls it the 4 + 4 = retirement. And what he says, and Rocky, I hope you don't mind me using your words, and that is, if you want to change yours and your family's lives in Bitcoin, here's a plan, just a thought plan that could work. For 4 years, pull your belt in, as we say in the UK. Don't spend anything you don't need to spend. Cut back on your takeaways. Cut back on your beer. Don't buy that extra handbag or that new screen TV, as Adam Meister always says. Get a second job and put everything you can into Bitcoin and work your proverbial butt off doing that for 4 years, a cycle. Then wait another 4 years, or keep doing it if you want, but then wait 4 years. 4 years accumulating, 4 years waiting, equals retirement plan for most people. So then where my business comes in is people are saying, well, I can't afford to get any Bitcoin. I've got no disposable income. Well, find an MLM company that's a good one and build 300 to 500 quid a month and put it into Bitcoin, or go and get a job waiting on tables, or do something if you want to create a better future for your loved ones. Because here's the thing, people, it ain't going to drop in your lap. It just ain't. If you want to make it happen, you've got to go out there and make it happen. And Bitcoin is your one, Anders, Bitcoin is your one opportunity in the history of mankind where you can take your family's financial future down a road you never dreamt was possible, because you are right in the midst of the early stages of one of the greatest wealth transfers the world has ever seen, away from dirty, filthy banking, where the bankers get rich and the governments get rich, and this can make the ordinary common man as rich as hell. End of rant.
You know, Puppy, I'm going to give the word to you.
Yeah, go for it.
Be prepared. I just want to say, look, our last guest was Greg Foss. Brian, thank you for sharing your story with us. It's very courageous, and this is what I said from the beginning. And I wrote it on Twitter when about you coming on, that or I mentioned it in last it's Toxic Happy, I can't remember, that here is a very one of the best hearted guys in Bitcoin. Thank you for sharing. I'm glad you're here today. I'm glad that Bitcoin is here, because I think Bitcoin is something that saves a lot of people from a pessimistic outlook. One should dive into Bitcoin and understand that the world is coming to a better place. Understand that you have an opportunity for a life where your savings grow in value. You can retire in peace and comfort, no matter where you are in society. Thanks for sharing that, Puppy. I will go fill up me coffee, and please take over.
Sure. Listen, you talked about with Adam Meister, for example, of some of the guys that really there wasn't a lot of there weren't a lot of resources back at that time, and he's one of those people that saved people a lot of heartache and money, including me. And I always felt you did the same. You kept the same message. Okay, you've always kept the same message, which I've always respected about you, and which is why I always love to find your shows and hop in when I can. Over the years, I'm curious of your thoughts now, because we're going to go to a couple of things, I think, this year, too. One, Michael Saylor changed the narrative about this being a something you put on your balance sheet. You put on your balance sheet, and no one really thought about it this year. And now we're getting into the point of people have made enough returns where they can either lend it out or take loans against it, and that's a growing industry. And I know you're, I think, conservative by nature, buy, hold. But for some people, that may be sort of the right solution. At some point, you can actually, you can lend out your Bitcoin at a certain rate. Perhaps you got to give up a little bit of control. What are your thoughts on that?
That's an interesting one, Guy, because I'm right in the middle of that thought process. I mean, I always say that when you get into Bitcoin, we all know we go down the rabbit hole, okay? But once you're down the rabbit hole, all of a sudden you go off on a warren or a branch, and that's a completely different rabbit hole in itself, isn't it? I'm a fan of not your keys, not your coins. I believe that, Bitcoin will eventually be, maybe even like 20 million a coin, but I might not be here to see it. Okay. But I believe there's also going to be a lot of innovation coming where it is I'm watching a lot of podcasts, Pomp podcasts, Breed Love, those types of people that do understand this stuff. I watched a podcast recently with Preston Pish, and he had on the guy from BlockFi. Was it Zach Prince?
Yes.
Zach Prince?
Zach Prince. Yeah, Zach Prince.
He had Zach Prince and Mark Yusko on from Morgan Creek Capital, and they were talking about this loaning of your Bitcoin, and I feel that as the next handful of years evolves, I think there's a narrative right now where everyone's saying, don't sell your Bitcoin. Do not sell your Bitcoin. Borrow against it, or loan it out, or whatever it might be. I mean, I don't understand it, but I'm certainly open. I'm not going to give up my keys at this point. But equally, if there is a way in 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, where you can hold your Bitcoin, and it might be in something like a multi-sig, which was what Zach Prince was talking about, where you still have some control over your keys. And it's secure. And I think these bigger exchanges, Gemini and the like, they're going to have mega security. Of course, there's cyber attacks, we're open for that. But there's going to be mega security around it, where it's going to be as secure as it possibly ever can be. I think it could be a really good way to leverage your Bitcoin, generate an income, but hold on to your Bitcoin. So I'm in the early stages of just literally, I can't commentate on it. I'm just learning about it and absorbing as much as I can as this whole thing evolves, Guy. That's where I'm at the moment. Is hold your, not your keys, not your coins. But I'm definitely open to what's evolving and learning about it. Right now, I don't want to do it.
So I'll follow up, Anders. I know you can jump back in here, because what I find fascinating, imagine, look, if Dr. Flow hits or whatever, and you're at 250K this year, there's going to be a lot of Bitcoiners sitting pretty well. And what I think would be interesting is, I'm not talking about taking 100% of your Bitcoin and doing this, but if you could take 10%, 20%, and just put it to the side and let it generate 6 to 10%, and you take that money and buy more Bitcoin, it's like literally, it is free Bitcoin at a minimal risk. It is free Bitcoin at a minimal risk.
Hey, listen, I claim all the forks and I get my free Bitcoin that way.
Yeah.
But no, I take your point, Guy. And I think it's an evolving, it's very fluid. The space is very fluid. There is lots of innovation going on behind the scenes. I mean, I liken what's going on to, in a simplistic way to, we go into a store and we swipe our credit card, debit card, whatever it is, and we make a payment. But what most people don't understand, and even I didn't understand that until I got into Bitcoin and got into financial rabbit hole, is the amount of hoops that payment jumps through before it's finally cleared at the other end. So and most people go in, they make a payment, and they don't care, and they don't want to know about what goes on behind the scenes. They just know it's going to happen. And I think the same thing is ultimately going to happen with Bitcoin, Lightning on, as a second layer solution, etc. I think there's so much innovation going on. There'll come a point where people will wonder what the hell we go on about, because we're OGs in the space. We've learned everything about what's going on behind the scenes, whereas the masses, when they finally come in and use it, they won't want to know about that, won't know about that. They'll just have an app on their phone, or they'll swipe a card, or whatever they'll do, and it will actually take place. So, it's so fluid, it's really evolving, and, bring it on, I say. Let it keep coming. I don't know if that answers the question.
I think you did. And Brian, I love your energy. I love your positive energy. So what I want to say, I totally understand that people thinking, if you can get an interest rate on your Bitcoin. Preston Pish opened my eyes when he interviewed BlockFi CEOs that, a CEO that Zach is his name, I believe.
Is Zach Prince? Yeah.
Could be. Yeah. So, I mean, if you allocate 10 or 20% of what you have, I'm not advising anyone for or against. Do your own research. I haven't done so myself, but, with a small part of the coin, I think that, it can make sense. Look, it's not a fractional reserve banking system. It's a banking system where 1 Bitcoin equals 1 Bitcoin. And when I realized that what is being lent out to is a legitimate business case where there are these market makers on exchanges, and a market maker are the ones that are not market buying or market selling. They are creating, the order just below the price to buy, the order just above the price to sell, and they need liquidity for that. So when people come in and buy, they pay that price. When people come in and sell, they pay that price, and they compete with each other. It's a good thing for the the price of or for any market really, it's an important function. So they're called market makers, and apparently that's really, really profitable. So they're willing to pay like 25% or whatever, 20% I think it is, to places like BlockFi to do this legitimate function of the economy. And if that means that we get 6% of our coin on BlockFi, as long as you don't deposit everything and risk everything, because you don't want to have all your coin custodial. When I say coin, of course I mean Bitcoin, but some of it, I think I can understand that, and I may do the same. But and by the way, I just want to note that I didn't kick Pubby off. He disappeared out of nowhere. This could be one of his legendary exit scams in the middle
of the bar. Gone to the bar.
He went to get a couple of refills, and he'll be back in a few minutes. Hopefully, he's got the link. He can join anytime. He wasn't kicked off. Yeah. Is there anything more you want to tell us about your story? Like, let's hear about when you started. What was your inspiration to start sharing Bitcoin content and preaching the strong hand? I believe you were inspired by Adam Meister, to whom I think a lot of people owe a lot of gratitude. He had a show earlier today. Both of us, actually all three of us, were in the chat. Adam Meister's panel on Fridays are awesome. So tell us about what inspired you to start producing content and trying to help others.
Well, it's really interesting you say that, because again, I love quotes, and here's one I love, and it's relevant to probably us that are strong hand Bitcoiners, and that is, if you don't want to learn, nobody can make you, and if you want to learn, nobody can stop you. And the moment I came across Bitcoin in the rabbit hole, I mean, we're in a hot country, all you want to do is go and get in the swimming pool. And I literally got on my computer and I was just delving in and looking for everything I could. And I found a few content creators that I no longer follow, but you've got to evolve and you've got to find out who's giving you the message that you want to hear. And that is when I came across Adam Meister, and I'll pay homage to him if I may, because Bitcoin Meister is the absolute catalyst that built my strong hand. I found him on day one of my 23rd of May 2017. I found his channel, I started following him, and I've watched every single one of his shows for 4 years come May.
Wow.
I have not missed one, and Elaine will tell you, my lovely wife, I would imagine that probably 85% of them I've been in the live chat. Sometimes I can't. Sometimes he was living in a country where the time zone meant I was sound asleep. I'm of an age where I want sleep. But pretty well 80 to 85% I've always been in the live chat. I believe that we should all help each other. I believe we should all retweet each other. So Adam Meister, just kept, I like to say to people on my channel, Bitcoin Meister doesn't come out with these sayings for the good of his health. Every one of his sayings, if you listen to the saying, has got meaning to it. Delayed gratification. That's an easy throwaway comment, but it means I want a new television, but I'm going to wait. I want a new car because I'm going to wait. A couple of years ago, we were very fortunate, Elaine and I, that a dear friend of ours died. And, we actually came back from overseas to nurse him to the end because he lived alone. He didn't want to go in a hospice. And he very kindly left us a lump sum of money, bless him. And, we had two trains of thought. We could have a holiday, go on a cruise, buy a new car. And I needed a new car, really. I've got a lovely Mercedes, but it's old. Beautiful condition, but it's old. And I said, right, well, I'll allocate that towards a new car. And I remember sitting outside one day in the sunshine with a glass of wine. And I said to my lovely wife, but if I delayed gratification, if I just put that money for that new car on hold and I just plowed it headlong into Bitcoin, yes, it's a risk, but it's a calculated risk that I was willing to take. So I put that money in there. and it's still in there today. So if you can imagine, it went in mid 2019. You can probably do your own maths on how many X that is to where we are today. But was that a good deal? Yes, it was a good deal. I was chatting with Rocky Palumbo in October 2019, and because of my live streaming and the fact that I'm in the UK and I've got an absolutely rubbish internet up speed, 7 is maximum, which is awful. My Mac wasn't performing well, and I said I need a new Mac, and I haven't put all the money together to get one. And Rocky said to me, and kudos to Rocky, why don't you take that figure, put it into Bitcoin, and maybe 12 to 18 months, it will probably double, and you'll be able to go and buy your Mac without funding it out of your own bank again. So we put that in. I think today, because I got the Mac on another route, I think that money that I put in is now worth about $8,000, you know, from about $1,600. So delayed gratification is not just 2 words that don't mean anything. You know, you've got to learn how to put it off. And, you know, when somebody says, golly, aren't you lucky? I always turn around, particularly with my other business, and say, yeah, the harder I work, the luckier I get. In Bitcoin, yeah, the harder it was to hold when everybody was telling me I'm an idiot, the luckier I've got, if you call that luck, Mr. Person, Mrs. Person. So I've got a rhinoceros skin. There is nothing, but nothing can FUD me out of my Bitcoin. I don't care what the price does. I really don't. So Adam Meister was totally instrumental, and I have to, you know, pay him homage, because, you know, everything he said is coming true. Everything he said was right. Every time he talked about it's cyclical, he was dead right. I would also pay homage to Guy as well, because, you know, Guy, you're the guy that was one of the early people in my chat when I started my show. And I'll come on to that, and as why I started it in a minute. I haven't forgotten. And Guy kept commenting in the chat saying, yep, I bought the top in 2017 and I rode it all the way down to the bottom. I bought all the way down. I bought through the bear market. I'm buying now through the bull market. And now I am in the green. And you said that ages ago, Guy. That is, in my opinion, what a strong hand Bitcoiner is all about. Stop getting this notion that every day is going to be a green candle, because that is not reality. It really isn't. So you've got to learn that Bitcoin goes through a halving, where the amount of blocks every 10 minutes are cut in half every 4 years. You've got to understand that past history tells us that probably the following year after that halving, you see a bull run. If it continues like it has, and we don't know if it will, with all the institutions coming in, we can talk about that. You know, maybe there's going to be another big correction in 22, but it might not come. We don't know. No one's got a crystal ball. So it is understanding that you might then get a couple of years of a bear market where it's so boring, you think, oh, I need to do something with my Bitcoin. Bitcoin Meister taught me, no, you don't. Don't play around with your Trezor. Keep it offline. Keep it secure. And just a firmware update here and there. Do it correctly. And I've learned all of that stuff. So I believe that anyone can learn how to set up, if they need to, a Coinbase account. Not the best, but a Coinbase account. Anyone can buy some. Use it on your phone. Anyone can learn how to move it from Coinbase onto a Trezor and then do nothing. I mean, I'm not advanced, guys, but all of a sudden, with the help of Rocky, thank you, Rocky Palumbo, he is a go-to person. I'm now, I've got a full node purring in the corner. That's sat behind the Electrum wallet. I've got my X pubs off so that I don't need to plug my Trezor in to see what's going on. I've got them set to watch only. When I came into Bitcoin, all of that was totally alien to me, totally alien. So the reason I got into Bitcoin was because got into live streaming was because I felt my logical head was saying, and you know, obviously now we've got its institutions starting to pile in. You know, I thought that more and more millions and millions of regular dudes like me were going to come into Bitcoin and think, what do I do? What do I do? Is this really something I can get involved with? And I thought, look, you left school at 15. You're a bit of a thick person, really, in terms of what you learned at school, but you've stood you in good stead. You've done all right for yourself. You've managed to build some kind of crazy MLM business wherever other people said it can't be done. Get on there and talk to the masses, but talk to them in proper working class, working man's language. Get on and do it. It doesn't matter what you do. There were many occasions where some of the people that were regulars in my chat, and Rocky was one of them, Pastor Phil Volman, I helped him get his Bitcoin back, or I played a part in helping him get his 14.2 Bitcoin back by plugging it every show twice a week, and I'm really proud of that. Now, I don't know if it was me or, you know, a whale found him some other way, but I hope that I played a part. And I kept saying to these people, I don't know what I've got to offer to the space. I'm listening to Adam Meister, some of the guests that you get on there, some of the technical terms they use. I know none of this. I don't know whether it, you know, I'm the sort of person that should be continuing live streaming because I really don't know much. Rocky started giving me rollicking, saying it's nothing to do with not knowing much. You're learning every day. Everyone's got to start somewhere, and you're learning something new every day. So what you offer, he said, you offer something to those noobs that have not got a clue, and if they find your channel, they'll probably be able to relate to you. You should continue, and that's why I've been doing it now for 3 years.
Absolutely, and let me tell you, if you have any doubt, you're doing the Lord's work when you are producing content and helping new people listen to your message, just like people were listening to and still are listening to Adam Meister. You're helping new people not panic and to hang in there to when Bitcoin is taking over money of the world. And I'm glad you touched upon Pubby's story of buying the top in 2017 because people
it's rarely talked about. It's rarely talked about, Anders.
It doesn't get enough press coverage, to be honest. It's a good story, and it doesn't get enough attention, Pubby.
No, yeah. Apologies for the. I had to do a scam exit, not Breedlove style, of course, but this one, no, actually, I had some work stuff come in, and when your boss, has 3 phone calls in to your different phones and emails, you got to jump in. So a bit of an emergency, not quite. We're good to go there, and now we're back to Bitcoin talk. So yeah, where do we go from here on the talk moving forward with Bitcoin?
Oh, well, firstly, I wanted to say my lovely wife just said I keep threatening to start a Bitcoin Widows channel. That is the problem with Bitcoin, isn't it? You know, where do you find the balance in being involved in something that is so exciting that you can't leave it alone, but without maybe alienating people around you? And I try to find that balance, but here's the problem, with when people go live, where I am in the UK, the people that I follow, it's always around my evening meal time. So poor old Elaine sat there trying to eat an evening meal, and I've got headphones on listening to Adam Meister or you guys or whoever it is, and trying to find that balance. But I think the lovely thing is I've tried to include Elaine, my lovely wife, in Bitcoin. She's got her own Trezor. She's doing her own dollar cost averaging, bless her, which is fantastic. She's got her wallet of Satoshi. So we're moving sats around to learn how to do that. These are all basic things that anyone can learn. And, you can send 100 sats. That is probably a penny or whatever. I don't know what it is. Rocky always puts me right on it. And if you mess it up, it doesn't matter. 10 cents or 5 cents or whatever it is, you can play around and you can get used to moving lightning around, which is the channel that is going to pay dividends and come on in leaps and bounds in the future. So it's really interesting just trying to find. I mean, I've literally, I registered I'm in Clubhouse, but I daren't start a Clubhouse stream because it's just something else that can take over, that takes even more time. And I found myself following just a handful of content creators, and I just can't do any more. I can't.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing, because we spoke before about lending out your Bitcoin and basically getting an interest rate. So there's another opportunity where you still keep custody, and I'm not saying there's not other way to keep custody. I just haven't heard about them. I think maybe Lendl or something. I know Preston Pish did a podcast on them. I got to listen to that. But on Lightning Network, if you only know how to, and I believe that there's a company that started end of last year where you can lend out your liquidity, or you can set it up yourself on your own Lightning node, make your liquidity available to work on the Lightning Network, which is what has scaled Bitcoin's transaction capacity to unlimited. There's unlimited transaction capacity for Bitcoin on Lightning Network. It's instant transactions. It's free. Lightning Network is phenomenal. And you can make like tiny fees because it's so cheap to use Lightning Network. But if you have, and I don't know how to, but if you put some of your Bitcoin available for that, so they can route through you make that basically a return on your on your the Bitcoin you have. Pubby, do you have some I won't say experience with that, but maybe some knowledge or opinion?
No, not at all.
Well, I'll tell you what I know. Rocky pointed this out, that Unchained Capital, Phil Geiger is up with Unchained Capital. They do something where it's multi-sig, so you still have some control over your keys. I'm not talking about Lightning now. I'm talking about the loaning out or the taking the loan against it or whatever it might be. But of course, the same thing applies here. They're not in the UK. I think where I'm at, I'm just literally evaluating it all, Anders. I'm certainly not jumping in at this minute, but I am keeping a close eye on it and trying to learn as much as I can, because what I think what we've all got to consider is, if Bitcoin is going to do what we all believe it's going to do, and as you always talk about hyper Bitcoinization, I think we're nearer to that than anyone can ever imagine, actually.
Let's talk about that.
Well,
let's get some moon juice going. But all right, finish your point. Finish your point, because we look. So Pubby and I, we're simple plebes, and we love discussing the anatomy of the bull market. So we're gonna get to that. We want to hear your opinion on what you expect to see of price this year. And when people say no, you can't talk about price, and they're shaming people when they talk about the dollar price of Bitcoin, because it's like, oh, you're interested in dirty fiat profit. No, we're not. The price is how we measure how far Bitcoin is in the disruption, as well as it is the key to Bitcoiners, financial independence. Carry on your point, and then let's get to some bull run moon juice.
Well, what was my point? that's
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
No, it's to do with the grey matter. I think I was saying, if Bitcoin does what we think it's going to do, and everyone's entitled to their opinion. I just don't make price predictions, but I do believe that the whole thing's been sped up massively by what happened on March the 12th last year. I think Michael Saylor coming in and doing what he's done has got a lot of big companies on the fence looking in. Obviously, he did that online course and had nearly 7,000 CEOs looking at it. You can't tell me a small percent. There's a lot of them saying we wouldn't get into Bitcoin no matter what, but there's going to be a percentage of them that are. So therefore, we were talking about selling your Bitcoin or loaning it out or whatever. If you start talking about the money in the world, say 300 trillion, let's say, I don't know what it is. I'm not a financial person. Then people start talking about derivatives on top and everything else. I don't know. But if you start looking at 300 trillion and you divide that into 21 million coins, if Bitcoin becomes a world reserve currency, which it really could, I'm not saying it's going to, but it really could. It's got its best shot, Anders. Yeah, I know your views. The point is, nobody would want to get rid of their Bitcoin, would they? Because even if you took a one Bitcoin off the table at $250,000, in another cycle, another couple of cycles, you might be looking at that $250,000 and saying, "Oh my lord, that's now worth $3.5 million." So nobody's going to want to get rid of their Bitcoin. So I think these lending platforms, I think they're going to proliferate, and I think they're going to gain momentum, and I think it's all going on behind the scenes again. So, there we are again. I think this talking about, even 20% allocation, take the risk on 20% of your portfolio and, get some returns on it. I think that's going to play out. I think there's going to be other players come in. I think that's going to be a big deal. So we've all got to watch it carefully and learn as much about it as we possibly can, is my view.
So I have a question to follow up here, because I
Yeah.
think as sales already shown, it's going to be a speculative attack. I mean, look, the first one was what, 75 basis points that he got a
Cheers.
loan for. 75 basis points he got a loan for to buy more Bitcoin. This past one was 0. And Preston Pish was sort of joking with sailors saying, hey, you can go negative next time. So the market to buy Bitcoin at a negative rate over these years, well, that changes the entire dynamic of it. I think it's absolutely brilliant, and it's logical. So
Yeah,
what do you think of that?
It's logical if you understand it, and I'll say it again. I'm just not a financial guy, and I really struggle to get. And this is why I go on these shows. Sometimes I don't understand all what they're talking about, but I'm trying. Yeah, cheers everyone. Happy Toxic Hour. I'm trying to get my head around how the whole thing works, and I simply don't understand it.
So I'll give you just a simple illustration. If I told you, I will give you $1 million that you can pay back to me over 5 years or 10 years, at no interest. I'll give you $1 million at no interest, and you can do what you want with it. What would you do with it? That $1 million at 0% interest.
Before I took it, I'd say, what do you want as collateral in return?
No, that's what you're getting. You know what Michael Saylor says? I'm buying Bitcoin with it. I'll see you in 5 years, and guess what? I'm making a killing.
Yeah, but I suppose the skeptic in me says, well, we know where the price is going, but the last thing you want to do if you borrow against your Bitcoin is for a significant correction.
Nope.
So let me jump in and say, I personally advise against taking out a fiat loan on your Bitcoin, because all you need is a black swan, like 12th of March last year. And they do happen, maybe once every 5 years, 10 years, I don't know. What happens is you lose your coin. Do not put your coin up as collateral. But getting an interest rate, on your Bitcoin makes sense, I think. So,
Andrew, that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm talking about what Michael Saylor did. He wasn't putting his coin up.
I'm not saying you said it. I'm just saying I just wanted to give that warning to people. I'm not saying you said it, Pubby.
No, absolutely. No, what I'm trying to say is what Saylor did was those convertible notes, 5-year convertible notes, is absolutely brilliant. 75 basis points or no basis points, you get to borrow money against the U.S. dollar, and we talk about a speculative attack. Which it absolutely is. I think it's fantastic, and the guy deserves everything. Yeah. Here comes the Chelsea hat. Yeah. Here we go.
Here come Brian. There we go. So as the chat has noted, like, our secret is up. When we run Toxic Happy Hour, the price of Bitcoin pumps. I don't know.
49.2.
I don't know. Yeah, 49.2, almost 3. I don't know if it's because we create a bullish atmosphere, or if the guys like MG Smith, BTC Moon guy, Al, Saya Sasa, and the others who are the big whales who may be cashing in to buy their private jets there for like a period of running Toxic Happy Hour, are not buying private jets, and maybe that's what is taking the sale pressure off the market. Cheers to you guys.
Can I just can I shill something? Am I allowed to shill something?
Always.
You are.
Zaza's in the chat. Zaza's a good dude. Look what he sent me. Bless him. Yeah. Look at that. Zaza. That's my own Bitcoin mask.
Zaza,
I can't stand wearing these, but if I go out and I've got to wear one, otherwise they won't let me in somewhere, I'm going to promote what I'm doing, people. Thank you, Zaza.
Zaza's a fantastic dude there. Hey, put your link out there, Zaza. We'll throw it in the show notes. Yeah. We need to.
Oh yeah,
top man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Regarding the show notes, you'll find the link, obviously, on to Brian's Twitter handle, and And when you go to Brian's Twitter account, you can find his website and his podcast. Go check it out. And yeah, you want to say something, Puppy?
I do. And usually I never interrupt the show, except when I do an exit scene. But listen, this is a good question for Brian. MG Smith 4 had a good point. I hope Brian was a Chelsea fan before Abramovich's money, back when Craig Burley could get a game for them. What do you think?
I've been a Chelsea fan since I was 11 years of age. I've seen poor old Matthew Harding die in a plane crash. I've seen some of you won't remember this, but I saw the Peter Osgood era when he was Chelsea centre forward. He was my brother's mate. They used to play golf together. I've seen the Lampard era. We don't want to talk about Chelsea. I'm right now. I'm in talks with Stamford Bridge about a executive box, thanks to Bitcoin. So the whole thing. It is going to cost 77,000 British pounds per.
You heard it here first, people. You heard it here first.
But Brian, we're not near the top yet. Okay, so here's the question: are you going to prepay for a year, or will you pay monthly? Because if you pay monthly, the future payments don't matter because Bitcoin will be at $1 million. But how do you pay for that?
I'm not paying for anything. There's a 2-year waiting list. I'm just in there.
I like it. Long-term thinking.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Adam Meister. Shout out to my coffee. And Martisal also gets a shout out because he just bought 4 private jets. It's not a big deal for him. Martisal, we're both going to Miami. So is Puppy and so many other good Bitcoiners. And I wish that Brian would come and bring his wife. And Marty, since you got 4 private jets, please come pick me up in LA. I need a lift, dude.
People, you should go to my bitcoininterviews.com channel and you should watch the interview I did whilst on a cruise with my lovely wife about what it's like to be a Bitcoin widow. It's a pretty darn good interview, I think, for husband and wife to do. So well worth checking out.
Absolutely. So again, go follow Brian. This is a good man. He's a good Bitcoiner. He's helping other people. He's doing the right thing. Go follow his Twitter account and check out his channel. And Plan Marcus is saving the show. We haven't found the red balloon for a long time. Plan Marcus managed to find it in this show in the chat. And the day is saved. It's going to be a good weekend now. Everyone, you're going to have a good weekend because Plan Marcus found the red balloon.
What is that? I don't understand what that is.
So that's it's an absolute institution. It started many months ago. Like we started 4.5, 5 months ago, Puppy and I with Toxicapia, and Plan Marcus found the red balloon, like you can see it on the screen right now with the chat. That there it is, and he is the only one who can find the true red balloon. So he's the only one who goes on the screen. People will find that out.
So basically, just to break it down, for Brian, our content is absolute crap, and we need gimmicks to get us going. And the first one we do is a red balloon. Let's have a red balloon. Hey, you let the crowd take it where it goes, man. When you have a bunch of friends that are memers, you just let them go with it, and you just hop on your surfboard, top of the wave, and you ride it out.
I've got to say something. My lovely wife will kill me. For those of you that don't know, because most of you are probably American, in 1970, Chelsea won the FA Cup in the UK. They beat Leeds United, and the winning goal scorer was a gentleman by the name of David Webb. And when Elaine and I were living down near Sandbanks, which is a beautiful part of the UK, I have to say, Elaine arranged for my birthday for me to go and have lunch with the scorer of the winning goal in the 1970 FA Cup final, David Webb, and we spent a few hours with him at this most magnificent property down in Dorset. So Elaine, thank you. That was superb. So just something else about Chelsea. We'll move on, otherwise we'll bore the audience.
No, I think that's absolutely fantastic. What's funny is our first group that we had here was some of the memers and the friends here was Bitcoin and football.
We paid them. We paid them to watch. We needed some numbers. We paid them. Which is why we're running at a deficit here, because we don't have sponsors.
No, but
I'm in the red for the show.
no, but what was cool about it is, listen, man, even in America, the best people, the smartest people, not only know Bitcoin, they know their football, they know their soccer as well. Yeah. So Chelsea 1970. I'm thinking, who was the manager back then? That was very interesting. Brian Clough?
No, could be Dave Mackay, I would imagine.
No. It wasn't for Chelsea though, but I think it was like Brian Clough or Brian.
Oh yeah, he was a divisive figure.
Yes.
Very divisive figure. Yeah, he went and managed Leeds United after their manager Don Revie became the England manager, and he lasted 44 days, and Leeds United sacked him. And if you want to watch a movie, that's a true story. That's a really enjoyable movie at the same time. Think of the name of it now. If it comes to me, I'll tell you. But it was a good movie as well. But true story. Sorry, we need to get off football, so we're going to bore the Bitcoiners that have tuned in to listen.
Listen, I think it's cool because
Brian.
You're in the pub, and so if an American can talk about someone from the 1970s, like a Brian Clough, that's the kind of guy that buys Bitcoin. That's what I'm coming back to.
He's dead.
Is it just me, or is the coffee getting better?
Yeah, Pulisic is really, really good, by the way. MG Smith 4. I think he's a great American footballer. Sorry, I just saw that on the screen.
MG Smith is one of our solid guys. You'll find his Twitter handle also down below, like many other of the great people, like Plan Marcus in the chat down below. I'm
you were going to talk Bitcoin hyper. You were going to talk Bitcoin hyper. I can't even say the word.
Yeah. All right. So instead of talking about that, let's make it pronounceable. Look, English is not my first language. But let's talk moon juice, Brian, because you got 2 years to that box, that executive VVIP box with a chopper landing zone that you have there, private landing zone on the roof of Chelsea's Stamford Bridge. So what are your expectations since you're committing to a box? What do you expect for Bitcoin this year in terms of price, which is okay to talk about because it's the measurement of how far Bitcoin is in disruption? What's your expectations for this bull run?
Okay, firstly, none of us have got a crystal ball, so let's put that out there. But I'm a simple thinking guy, and I would say that depending on who shows their hand is going to depend on what happens to it. One of my firm beliefs is by the end of 2021, we will see a Bitcoin that's over 100K. Now, whether that's its top,
this year, that's going to happen. That's going to happen before Miami. Sorry, carry on.
Let me tell you where I'm at, Anders. I've learned this through my life. It is better to under promise and over deliver. It is a better psychology than going for the 250,000, 300,000, and then it falls to 100 grand, and you thought you were going to get 300K, and it turns out not to be the case. Me, I'm very conservative. I like the idea. Can you imagine? Look, Guy, when we got into Bitcoin, 2017, and Bitcoin was under $2,000 a coin, who would have ever said who would have believed at the time that we were going to be talking of one Bitcoin at 100,000? Nobody believed it. We believed it, but we didn't believe it, if that makes sense.
Rationally, we believed it, but emotionally, we're not here.
Yes.
And I just want to say, and I know you hate me for it, Puppy, that I want to say this and then I give the word to you, but I will say that, Brian, I have always had a policy of doing exactly that, under promise and over deliver. And that's what I'm doing when I'm saying 100K before June. That is bearish. We're going to be way higher. In my opinion, it's not financial advice, but I'm willing to call out 200K before Miami, which is June 4. Puppy.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I guess it depends on what part of 2017 you get in to find that sub 2,000 Bitcoin. That's fantastic.
Mine was May. I know yours was later.
A bit later. So that's fantastic. And for our show, we like to underpromise and underdeliver just a bit more. We do like we want to get up to just providing content that is funny for the masses. I don't know, in about 2 years.
Funny in the way that they're not laughing with us; they're laughing at us. That's how
cool.
we roll. That's how we roll, Brian.
Yeah, my philosophy is if they're laughing at me, they're leaving everyone else alone. So I'm happy.
See, you're a team player.
So here's my setup at home. Of course, I do everything from my phone. But you got to have a backstop for your phone to do the video. And I've got, let's see, the complete works of Shakespeare, The Creature from Jekyll Island, and Don Quixote. I got 3 strong books to back it up.
Okay. Have you read them all?
Of course.
Okay, no, just asking. I mean, there's a truism that many people have got libraries full of books that they've never read.
No.
So, you know, I mean, for me, here's the thing. Going back to my school days again, you know, when I was in school, I hated books. I'd rather tear a book up. I'd rather throw it. But all of a sudden, you get into Bitcoin and you want to devour them. So I've gone through Jeff Booth's Price of Tomorrow. Awesome. I've done the Bitcoin billionaires, you know, the ones where Charlie Shrem and the Winklevoss. Awesome. I've done the Bitcoin Standard. Incredible. I've got a book that I plug in the UK, the Bitcoin book by a guy called Matthew Underhill on Amazon, which is an incredible book to give to family members as a gift or a noob into Bitcoin, because it really is a very basic, easy read about what Bitcoin is. And I think it almost runs as a precursor to the Bitcoin Standard. So I'm just devouring them. I'm just about to order 21 Reasons. Is that the one where Guy Swan is the narrator on audiobook? 21 Reasons to buy Bitcoin?
Hang on. You may be thinking of Dear Gigi, 21 Lessons.
It might be, but it's Gigi, but Guy Swan narrates it on Audible. Gigi's a big fan of the show. We've had him on. Listen, that book is fantastic as well. Name drop. Whatever. Do I care about name drops anymore?
No. Look, it's
you're right.
We can say that Gigi is a fan because he's not watching anyway, so he's not gonna dispute it. So let's just say that Gigi's a fan. Max Kaiser is a fan. They won't dispute it because they didn't hear it.
No, Gigi's all over this, man. He loves the show. I'll tell you what, his was a great read in a way. You want to introduce people into Bitcoin, I would start with something like Dear Gigi, and because his first lesson is the quintessential lesson you learn. You will never change Bitcoin. Bitcoin will change you. That's lesson number 1. And as absolutely, when I read that as lesson number 1, I knew lesson 20. The rest of the way
is that the book I've just been talking about, the 21 Reasons?
Oh, Gigi. You may be talking about the 21 lessons.
It might be lessons. Yeah, I've got it lined up on Audible. You see, I like to listen, where some people like to read. I get bored reading. I listen. I absorb more listening. So that's my next book.
So let me explain. The audio stuff, it depends on the generation. It's interesting that you like to listen now, because I enjoy just the reading, because I like the highlighter. And I'll go through a book. And I highlight everything that I find. Okay, yep. Ask a question about this. I go through it. But what I find fascinating is the change that you have in your own life. I like to go back. I'll reread them. And then I say, why did I highlight this? And then you find new things, and I highlight in a different color. Because it tells you how much you've grown and changed. Yeah.
It's interesting you say that, because that book, the Bitcoin book that I was talking about, I read it the second time, and the second time around, and that is a proper book. That's not an audio one. You pick up things in there and you think to yourself, I don't remember reading that the first time round. You have grown, you have developed, and you are reading that book coming from a different perspective when you do it the second time round. Totally agree, Guy. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Can I just say, so Plan Marcus has a very ambitious goal, I would say, in the chat. Yesterday, I made a video. I'm just going to totally shill my own video because it ruined my voice. Honestly, so last night and this morning or during the night, I was afraid maybe I got the Rona because my throat was starting to hurt. But I realized that I spoke 2 hours yesterday, and unfortunately, I didn't have Pubby to talk all the time so I could give my throat a break. So I spoke for 2 hours. My throat was paining. I thought it was the Rona, but I think it was just because I had to talk nonstop when you do your a live stream alone, and I pushed myself, unfortunately. But Plan Marcus, as he's saying, 0.615 is the goal. So what the reason I brought up the video from yesterday there, I do explain why 0.1 is financial independence this decade. Just want to put it out there. If you want to know why, it's because it'll be worth $2 million of today's buying power in an environment, in a world where the prices are going down. And if you cannot live from $2 million in a world where the prices are going down, don't then move outside of, I don't know, Stamford Bridge. And, that
was good one. Good one. That's the theme, Stamford Bridge. I actually watched a lot of that last night. I was in your chat live and it got so late I had to go to sleep.
I saw you. I saw you. And thank you for the support, Brian. Always appreciate it.
So you were going to talk Bitcoin hyper.
Yeah.
I can't. Let's do it.
Yo, so as Plan B said early on, what did he say? Bitcoin. What did he say? He said hyper Bitcoin. Forgot. Plan B, you're gonna have to drop it again. But so, hey, you got the box going up. You signed up for the box, which I think is absolutely great because we need long-term time preference, but we also do need to enjoy our lives. I'll say that. I paid the price the last 15, 20 years, no, 15 years. So, I have allowed myself to consider a buy. But what do you expect of Bitcoin to do this year? What's going to happen in this cycle? I want to get some prices. I want to get some expected time, ideas about when these things are going to happen, because we like moon juice. We like moon goose as well, but we like moon juice.
Pubby, you give your thoughts this year.
Oh, this year? Trust me. I'm from the Preston Fish camp of, we're gone. Escape velocity. Here we go. Get ready, because here's the problem. Here was the fulcrum. A fulcrum, as people know, is that perfect tipping point. On the left side, you had Michael Saylor, who, by the way, is now on the right side. But at the time, you've got a Michael Saylor that comes in here, and what does he say? In August, hey, my little company just bought Bitcoin. Oh, we bought some more Bitcoin. And oh, by the way, it's only $11,111.11. And it was at that time. He has bought 90,000 Bitcoin to date, by the way. And let me tell you something. Here's what he dollar cost averaged in. And Brian, I know you love it like I do, the dollar cost average. His average Bitcoin is only $24,000. He's got over $2 billion invested. That guy has made an additional $2 billion. And I think it's fantastic. And here we go forward. I don't know what else you can say to that about the value of Bitcoin or where he's going. So that's the left side. Oh, guess what? He gets to talk to Elon Musk. Elon Musk says, wow, this thing is sort of interesting. Before you've got a Michael Saylor where every CEO, CFO jumps into the boardroom meeting and says, hey, there's this guy, Michael Saylor. He just made $2 billion. Well, who's Michael Saylor? Well, yeah, I don't know. He's just this guy from MicroStrategy. Well, guess what? It changes automatically when now Elon Musk put, 1.5 billion. Yeah, learned that lesson on the last podcast I had. 1.5 billion
I thought you said that Tesla bought $150 billion worth of Bitcoin, Pubby.
Yeah.
Or
Nah, 1.5 billion.
yeah, I know.
No,
thanks
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for interrupting. Thanks for interrupting. I learned my lesson. But
We're in the
Hey,
pub, aren't we? We're in the pub.
Pubby, it is my pleasure. Trust me.
yeah, but here's the point. You go from Michael Saylor, where you get fired for even asking about doing this, to get fired if you don't do it. Imagine this now. Here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are. Elon Musk, listen, the herd is coming. Get ready for it.
Look, so I know Brian gave the word to Poppy, and now I take it over as I always do. I'm so sorry. So we're gonna get back to you, Brian. You're not gonna get away from price predictions because we love it. We like the moon juice and we have fun with it.
Let me jump in. I got to do price predictions then.
All right, listen, let's get it. Let's get it on.
500,000 by the end of the year. Easy.
Easy. That is easy. I thought you were going to put something on the line. Oh, by the way, Poppy, I have a bit increase with you that I want to discuss. But first, I want to hear, Brian, what do you expect dollar price-wise for Bitcoin this year?
The trouble is we're out there live on YouTube, and I've spent 3 years, and I've always said I don't do price predictions because none of us have got a crystal ball. If I just go with my own gut feeling, which is just me speaking out loud, 200,000 a coin.
That's my
that's my personal. I think when we end this bull run, I think we could very well, depending on what the pullback is, we could end out, if the pullback's huge, still being between 80 and 100K at the bottom.
What pullback? There's no pullback.
There might not be, but we don't know that, guy. So I won't set myself up, or anybody that follows me. It's like, it'd be great if this happens, but there isn't one single, that Black Swan event from last year. That crashed, that tanked every market, including Bitcoin. And I'm not saying that it can happen again. I think we're, $1 trillion and past. I think we've now got a juggernaut that you're not going to stop. I don't think you can stop this train now. It's, you can talk about governments banning it. They can't. You would need to shut the internet down all across the world forever to stop Bitcoin, because every 10 minutes it's going to churn out those blocks. You're not going to stop that. And I think governments, and to a degree, maybe even nation states now, are behind the scenes saying, how the hell do we make a play on this? What do we do? Because if we don't do something, we're going to be left behind. And if that does play out, yes, I could see 200, 300, 400, $500,000 Bitcoin. But what do I know? I'm just a regular Brit that does a show twice a week. I can't make price predictions like that.
So I have a question, Brian, because what's interesting is, how does a kid that loved hanging on top of the roof of a school, throwing down the rocks onto the other ones coming in, what's the value? Well, I'm sorry, you saw the in value, I guess, of going to class, which I get, because there's many Bitcoiners that love to homeschool. You had an idea in your head about what made you smart, what could make you, I don't know, just educated, ready for the world. What made you see Bitcoin as value? Because you have it. I don't care if you're a lorry driver. I don't care anything about your background more than you had a unique perspective of, you were able to see the value of Bitcoin. What do you think was in your history that led you to that?
Guy, I don't know how to answer that. I mean, for me, I guess I'm a logical thinker. Number one, I've always gone through my life with an open mind. It is so easy to just discard something out of hand and miss one of the greatest opportunities the world's ever seen. So I've looked at opportunities, Elaine and I have lost tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands with scams because I've been a serial entrepreneur. So around my MLM business, I've looked at other things to make money, lost a lot of money. I saw Bitcoin and I just started to do very, very basic evaluations. And the basic evaluations were, if this thing catches on, and that's an if back in 2017, okay, if it catches on, you know, its supply is being cut in half every 4 years. If it's got value and people want it, and the supply is being cut in half every 4 years, then surely we're going to get a demand supply issue. And that was just purely logical for me. I could see, because I very quickly found some videos that talked about the way the banks milk us dry. I was fortunate I came across Mike Maloney's The Hidden Secrets of Money. It was I think a 10-episode series. If you haven't watched it, it's, you know, very, very well worth watching, because I didn't understand how the Federal Reserve worked. You know, then I obviously went down the rabbit hole with The Creature from Jekyll Island. That was a real eye-opener. For me, that, you know, again explained this, you know, the Federal Reserve, how it was formed in 1913, I believe it was, or whatever it was. And, you know, all those, this, I mean, I don't know how to explain it, but I understand this Cantillon effect or Cantillon effect, where the closer you are as an entity to the big guns like the Federal Bank, the Federal Reserve, the more you're going to be looked after, the more you're going to cream money. I also watched The Big Short, which was interesting because I got to see, here's another simplistic point of view, Guy, and that is, if these big guns know everything's going to tank, whatever everything means, you know, the price of the dollar, whatever it all is, if that's going to tank, why the hell does the stock market go through the roof? Because those big bankers, they want to make their mega profits. They then get out. The ordinary common man sees the stock market going up thinking, whoa, we're buoyant, let's get some investment in. And yet those big guns know that they're going to get out and tank the market. And then the ordinary common man is going to lose everything. So it's all these basic things that I sort of got into the rabbit hole and learned about that made me think, this is something worth hanging on to and adding whatever I can, as much as I can, because what Elaine and I have always done is we've never invested what we couldn't afford to lose. Too many people, they go and do silly things. I mean, I'm not going to say silly, but I interviewed on my show Didi from the Bitcoin family a couple of weeks ago, who literally sold his business, sold out everything. Him and his family have traveled the world living off Bitcoin for over 4 years now. But Didi is a different entity to me. He trades, he does other things. I can't do that stuff. What I saw was, as long as we're sensible, now even with our friend passing and leaving us some money, you know, sensible to the normies out there is put it into a pension plan, or put it into a bit of property, or into some stocks and bonds. That's the sensible thing. For me, the sensible thing was to dump it into Bitcoin, because I don't think like normies. There's a guy here in the UK, and I think you've got this in America. Have you got in America the program that we've got here called Dragon's Den? Do you have Dragon's Den in America?
Yeah. It's called, what's it called, Puppy? It's called...
3 or 4 multi-millionaires. People go and pitch their businesses to them in a den.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, well, I think they call it Shark Tank here. Right. I don't know.
Shark Tank. Yeah.
Well, no, this is where entrepreneurs take their ideas along, and there's 4 serial entrepreneurs. They're multi-millionaires, probably billionaires, and they take on ideas and invest in them, or they kick them out and they laugh at them. Okay. And the one thing I took from one of the guys that was one of those dragons, and his name is James Khan, he lives in Monaco, multi-millionaire. He said something that stuck with me. And he said, if you want to be wealthy in this life, you need to observe what the masses do and run the other way. So what do the masses do? Big screen TVs, soap operas. Every time they get some money, they go and blow it on a new pair of shoes or a holiday or a TV or a car. Don't do that. Observe what they're doing and run the other way. So when the people around me were, oh, what are you doing that for? You're absolutely crazy. I knew that they're the crazy ones and I'm not. I don't know how I knew it, Pubby. I have no clue how I knew it, and I do this on my shows. I just knew it. Yeah. I felt that when I discovered Bitcoin, I've come home. I can't explain it. I don't know how to explain it to you. I just knew.
So I want to up the ante or increase the bet with Pubby. He was saying that there's no way there's going to be a drawdown. There's no way there's going to be a drawdown. And right now, Brian, Pubby and I, we have a bet going on where I say there will be a 40% correction from all-time high before the end of 2022. Probably going to happen this year, in my opinion. And we have a, best steak restaurant, steak dinner, drinks, everything. But I want to get one thing clear because I've been worried about whether you would splash in the champagne, Pubby. So I want to say, if you really, really think like you just said, and I'm sure you're a man that stand by your word that say that there won't be a 40% drawdown, I'm willing to increase the bet to include unlimited Cristal champagne until you have to go to the bathroom. If you have to go to the bathroom, champagne is over. But if there's a 40% drawdown, if there's not a 40% drawdown, I'm willing to pour as much Cristal champagne in you until you need to go to the bathroom. I'm not going to say fall down of the chair because this is a show for families. So until you have to go to the restroom, are you willing to increase the stakes, buddy?
No. The stakes are the same as when they were made, because what you made then was an insult to every Bitcoiner in the world, and I will never change that. You should be ashamed. You should be ashamed right now and admit you were wrong at the true value of what Bitcoin was then and what it is now. So no, I will not change any stakes, but you can buy me a steak. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll be
calling me saying it, I'm insulting. You will get that's we have an academic discussion. We have a bet. There's no insult there. And I would never say something like that about you, Pubby, because I do love you. But it's fair enough. If anyone else are willing to take on that bet with me, we'll do some Cristal end of this year probably. No. So Fructose Phoenix. Let me say something. I thought the same thing until someone served me Cristal. Like champagne, affordable, doesn't taste good. I agree. But have Cristal. I had it once in my life. I didn't pay for it. I'm not dumb, but I'm trying to get Pubby to pay for me here. That tastes good. All right. That's it. So, all right. If you don't believe in the fact that there won't be a 40% drop down, then I won't hold you to it, Pubby. Let's give the word back to Brian and see what he thinks.
Again, none of us have got a crystal ball, have we? I mean, who's it? Ruffer in the UK have just sold. I think they come in with 600 million. They doubled their money and took 600 million back off the table and said they're now in Bitcoin and it hasn't cost them anything. So are we going to see, a lot of these institutions, we've seen a couple recently, haven't we, where they have sold out. There was another big one. They came in with a certain amount. They sold their Bitcoin and said, we've made 200,000 profit. And they don't understand what profit they could make had they have held it through this bull run. So, there could be a situation where some of the institutions will come in and then they will have an exit strategy and take profit off the top. So I don't really know, Anders. I don't have any view on whether there will or whether there won't. But what I do feel is if we do have a correction, on a personal level, I don't think it will be as big as the ones we've seen over the recent halvings, if I'm honest. Because we saw 80, 85, 90%, didn't we?
Yeah. That's why we went from 95% to 90% to 85%. I don't think get near it this time. I don't expect 80. But 40 is an easy bet to win with Pubby, I'm pretty sure. So I totally understand that he's worried about the bet and doesn't want to increase it. You're my friend, Pubby. I support you.
Listen, honestly, if you think there's a 40% retrace happening, good luck. I will gladly buy you a steak. I'll tell you this. There's no way it's coming back 40%. If it hits 200,000, which, oh, by the way, would prove that Plan B was right.
I get
When
it.
Plan
I
B had
agree.
because Plan B put that stuff out at $5,000. If there's a pullback from that, no, not going to happen. Not going to happen.
Didn't he predict 288? But he said if it goes to 288, he's going underground. He's going
Oh,
dark.
yes. He did. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He said 288 going dark. But honestly, what his model has been spot on. So I love. Look, I'll put it out there for him. The guy never took a dollar, not even a dime, to put it out there. I think it's fantastic to watch. Here we go.
We're going to see how it's going to play out, but my own personal view is the pandemic or the plandemic has accelerated this whole thing, in my opinion. And it was tough when it, when it corrected like it did. But if you had a strong hand, and I did, I knew it was going to bounce back. And it didn't take long to bounce back, did it? If you think about it, we're looking at Christmas at 20K, and here we are. I don't know what we are, 49.2. We're still on that sideways movement here, but at some point there's got to be another breakout because we're in a bull run. And again, that's not me giving any financial advice. I just feel that you've just got to be patient, allow these corrections to take place, stack where you can if you've got the finances, and just wait it out. And at the end of the day, I'm with Adam Meister. When I got into Bitcoin, he said think 2020. Now 2020 is gone. I'm saying think 2024. Now, the difference between me and you guys is, I am I'm on the back end of my life. So I want to take some enjoyment from that. So we're back to what do we do about taking some off the top or, getting some interest off it or whatever. So we've all, I think it's really right and proper that everyone should have their own strategy. And nobody should knock anybody else's strategy. All we should do is be helping each other to whatever our strategy is, ensure that we help each other to make the best move. And if that best move is look at a way to leverage your Bitcoin, but keep hold of it because the thing's going to 20 million, that's great. But everyone's going to have their own strategy. I mean, my strategy to start with was, as soon as it hit 100K, one off the table. That's gone. That strategy has gone out the window, and it's gone out the window because of these financial podcasts that are taking place around don't do it. Do you know what I mean? So we're back to the whole thing's evolving again. I'm just a regular dude, but I've got enough savvy in my head to know that I don't want to give up a Bitcoin at 100 grand that quite quickly turns into 1 million. Thank you very much. And people say, forgive me, somebody might know who I'm referring to here, but we've got enough. No, you've never got enough. We've never got enough. Because at the end of the day, Anders, you were talking about it, the cost of living is going to go through the roof. The dollar's going to lose all of its value. So what you've got to look at the purchasing power of what you've got. That's what's really important.
Oh, yeah. So the cost of living will go through the roof, denominated in dollar, but not in Bitcoin. Everything, like look at the prices of everything denominated in Bitcoin, the last 10 years, whatever, everything is crashing in terms of price of Bitcoin. Bitcoin already is deflationary. Everything is dropping in the terms of Bitcoin. And that's why I'm delaying my gratification. Everybody knows I bought, who's watching Toxic Capra, I bought a Moon Goose BMX bike from Amazon. I had fun on it. I know it's Mongoose, but Moon Goose, I accidentally say, and I like Moon Goose better. I send it back to Amazon. I got my full $70 back. That same day I threw all of it into Bitcoin. I smash boarded, market boarded, and that was probably around what, I don't know, 40K or something. Look, it's hard for me to spend money because I delay my gratification, but I do want to start enjoying my life because I did save and not overspend for a long time. But now it's hard for old habits from the last decade to die and actually start increasing. But what I will say, Puppy, Al said he'll buy 4 private jets. What do you say that you and I go with Mighty Sal to Stamford Bridge and visit Brian in his executive box?
Get in there. Love it.
I mean, listen, is that a bad thing? You go and watch some Premier League. We get some Chelsea action. Man, Stamford Bridge is the.
I've got to say one thing. Can I say one thing here?
Of course.
Even if somebody doesn't like a sport, just being in that arena with the energy of crowds is the most hyper uplifting thing ever. Formula One, I love motorsport. I love Formula One. You may have NASDAQ out there or whatever you've got, but I follow Formula One in the UK. There are some people, don't watch TV. Let me tell you now, if it's my sport, if it's things that I love, I'll watch TV. I just won't watch junk that doesn't enrich my life, if that makes sense.
So
football enriches my life.
So now I have a question there, because it's true with Formula One. What were your thoughts of Niki Lauda and James Hunt? That was such a great movie, for one. But what a rivalry.
I've watched it about 5 times. I absolutely love it. It's called Rush. You people, if you haven't watched the movie Rush, you should watch it. It is superb. I mean, actually, Guy, until I bought and watched that movie, I didn't have a clue about. I knew of James Hunt. I know he died early because of his reckless lifestyle, but I did not know of the massive rivalry between him and Niki Lauda. I didn't know until I watched that film, and it was based on the true story. So it was a pretty awful. And then they became incredible friends at the end. So if you get a chance, people, watch the movie Rush about James Hunt and Niki Lauda. Brilliant film. Brilliant film.
I think what's so amazing about it was, one guy I think James Hunt would have been a Bitcoiner. James Lauda, or Niki Lauda, he would have been the smart guy that played it safe.
Isn't it amazing how you can look at people like that and base an opinion on what they would and wouldn't do? I love that. I do it all the time.
Of course, I do too.
Do you ever people watch? We can sit in airports and we watch people. We look at people that are maybe sat across a table, and you look and you ask yourself, are they happily married? Are they having an affair? Are they going to get divorced? Have they got nothing to talk about? We love doing that. Love people watching. And this is along the same lines, isn't it?
Well, this is our entire shit show. This is what we do. People watching.
I don't know why people are still in. I don't know why people are still in the chat listening to us like this.
Do you know why? Do you know why? Because we don't lie. We don't lie.
It's real life. It's real life.
It is.
Look, and Brian, I think one of the advantages for Pubby and I is that we don't take ourselves seriously. Honestly, I have a problem with people taking themselves too seriously. Like, why would you do that? I think taking yourself serious is a sign of insecurity, to be honest. I'm all this, important or whatever. You can't make fun of me because I'm not sure if maybe I should be made fun of, if you got a point. Just chill, and
listen. I take what I do very seriously, but I don't take myself seriously. And I always say, if people are taking the Michael out of me, the piss out of me, whatever you want to call it, as long as they're getting a laugh out of it, they're leaving everybody else alone, and I'm quite happy with that. I'm really chilled out with that. I just take my Bitcoin show and my followers and getting the right message out there very, very seriously. But I'm like the next man. I like a good laugh. I can split my sides with laughter and make a right fool of myself. Yeah, absolutely. So this is an ideal show to do that on, people. Hey, everybody in the chat, smash the like button. Go and do what I've just done and share this link out on Twitter, because people should be over in this chat.
Thank you, Brian. I just want to say, I think we pumped the price from 47 something to 49 something because the scarves. Now, Brian, if you wore a scarf, we would go above 50K.
The magic
it's cap. It's a hat.
Chelsea cap. It's a Chelsea cap.
It is a Chelsea hat, but I look like a right geek hat. It's my Chelsea hat. Yeah. Get in there, Chelsea. I hate Roman Abramovich. He's an idiot. I'll buy Chelsea Football Club. Somebody put that in the chat earlier. I could buy Chelsea Football Club, couldn't I? Yeah.
Well, hey,
Yeah,
that's why you
for
have
one
Bitcoin.
coin.
And one day, the lorry driver becomes the owner of Chelsea. That's what I'm waiting for. That's what I'm waiting for.
That would be a dream come true. Trouble is, my wife and I have got a lot of traveling to do. We've got a lot of meeting Bitcoiners that we're now calling friends to do. And there's only so many times you can do that as you get older. So, come on, Bitcoin. I've got a lot of traveling and meeting to do. Definitely.
First world problems. I think what's even smaller problems than first world problem is Bitcoiners problems. When can we travel to see all our friends across the world? Like Puppy living the other side of US than me, but we're gonna meet in Miami in June 4 and 5. If anyone still wants to buy a ticket, there's a link down below with a 21% discount. Code Toxic21.
Yep. Yeah, I can't wait to join in on those things. I really can't, to be honest. So what is my wife saying? Something in the chat. Hang on, where did I just see it?
She's
she's talking about Speedway now. What is that about, Elaine?
Wait, let me find. All right. I think Elaine is saying that it's coming up. Give it a time. It's she's saying I check it a few times. I want to retire. So that's the price. But I remember in the green room that your wife told you to wear a scarf, and we all know it's going to take us about 50K. But you are a truck driver. It will ruin your reputation. You mentioned. Sorry.
Lorry driver. Come on, he's our guest.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah. I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it.
Well, so I grew up learning English like UK style. Now I've been in US for several years. The spelling is different. The wording is different. So yeah, I said truck driver instead of lorry driver. Interesting. It's called lorry driver. But yeah. So how's Chelsea doing, by the way, this season? I think Manchester City, are they killing it in Premier League?
No, I can't wear that, Elaine. Oh my Lord! You're going to make me put this on? Do we need 50K, people?
50K.
How do you do this stupid thing? I've never worn one in my life. Hang on, I think I've got it. Hey, listen, I'm putting this. It's not quite Chelsea blue, but we're getting it on. Get in there, Rocky Palumbo.
Is this Leicester? Leicestershire?
Leicester, I don't know what it is. Oh, I can't keep wearing it. I'm sorry, I got an image to keep up. I'm an ex-trucker.
What? No, you got it, man. It was fantastic. Come on.
Yeah, Manchester City are tearing it up at the moment in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Chelsea just sacked the legend that was Frank Lampard just because they went on a spell and had 5 or 6 games where they lost. And the irony is, as soon as they brought the new manager in, they started winning. They've gone on a winning streak, and all they had to do was stick with Frank, a Chelsea legend, stick with him, and he would have had the accolades for all those wins. And the Chelsea legend that was now their manager would still be in situ. But Roman Abramovich is a total plank. If you don't make money, you are out. Whether you're a Chelsea legend or not, if you don't bring us trophies, you are out. He's a plank. I'll buy Chelsea from him.
Yeah, I think we have agreed to that already. You're buying Chelsea when 1 corn equals infinity.
Yeah,
it's easy.
I'm just trying to find something. I am paying attention, but I'll try and put something up to the camera. If it will work, it might not work.
Puppy. In the meantime, Puppy, what is your favorite football team? Football using the feet, not the one where you run around with the ball in your hands.
Yes,
like that couldn't possibly be football.
Yeah, understood. Got it. Got to remember when Pubby started in the world. I remember like the entire. Well, I don't know if you call it a fiasco, but you had a situation where the Premier League got stuck at Wembley. Wembley killed everything. And what you had with Wembley and Sheffield Wednesday, perhaps, you had a situation where it was just over. and it was only because of Premier League of money to come in and rebuild these stadiums. That's the only chance you had. So it's fascinating to me to watch it come back nowhere, because you got Sky Network. Yeah, guys, like, listen,
it's all
I
television rights. It's all television rights, isn't it?
yeah, the television rights. Eric Cantona, to me, is still one of my favorites.
He kicks the guy in the crowd. He kicks the guy in the crowd. Oh dear, oh dear. Yeah, I remember that.
I tell you what, though, he changed that whole thing. Changed the entire world when it came to football. When it came to how football would go around the world, because before that, you didn't have that chance. You never had that chance to share.
Well, it was the Division 1 moving away to the Premier League. That is, you know, we've got the same in the UK. I'm a big darts fan. I used to play darts. In fact, I actually beat the world champion at darts once. That's my claim to fame. And I beat him in an exhibition. But then he went and thrashed the next 10 players absolutely outside. So I'm not saying I was good. I did beat him, but I was first on. And then he went on to be the News of the World UK darts champion.
Dude,
that's my claim to fame.
You beat the champion. That's all it takes. You were the champion for a while.
I beat the champion of the world.
Dude, if you beat the champion of the world, you are the champion of the world until you lose. You had a period of time, a window of being on the pedestal where you were the champion of the world. Pubby, I just want to highlight to you, awesome. Looking good there.
You see that, people? That was
we
me,
see it.
28 years old with my lorry.
Whoa. Well, I can't say it in the lorry, but that's a big truck.
That's that's a big lorry, mate. Mate, it's a lorry.
You know, people don't believe me that that's what I used to do. So I keep my photos on my phone. They just say, no, you're too switched on to be a lorry driver. And it was only the illness that stopped me continuing. I would have probably done it until I retired. But, you know, there's another old saying, isn't there, that, you know, things happen for a reason. And had my employer at the time not taken my livelihood away, I probably wouldn't have opened my mind to opportunities and MLM. Then I probably wouldn't have had the seasoning and the learning and building the strong hand mentality, learning to take rejection that would have stood me in good stead in Bitcoin. So when you actually look back over, you know, in hindsight over your life, these things happen at the time. They're terrible, but all of a sudden you look back and you say, thank goodness they happened. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at anyway.
Absolutely, mate. And by the way, so Greg Sarge, one of the guys that Pubby copies your memes and sells them for money to strike Jack Mullers, he's asking what the shit is a lorry. He wasn't here because, it's a truck gassage. It's a truck gassage one. You weren't here for the English the English language lesson we had before. So
I'm embarrassed for my fellow American that he couldn't understand. A lorry is a truck. I thought that was common knowledge.
Guy, it's interesting you say that because, you know, I've said that Rocky Palumbo is in the chat. He and I have become good friends off of any Bitcoin shows. And we have conversations around sayings in America and sayings in the UK. And we both get on and Google them. And it's really interesting how I say something and Rocky says, what is that? I've never heard that before. It's really interesting. So I respect the dude saying, what's a lorry? You know, because we are different. We say things different across the pond. It is what it is. But, you know, the great thing is when you find certain words and certain phrases and then you go and Google them. And Rocky likes to do that. He likes to find the history of where a saying came from. And it's fascinating, actually. So I'm learning more and wanting to learn more in later life than I ever did in younger life and school life, based on what we talked about at the head of the show. There you go.
This is true.
We've done okay, boys, haven't we? That's a couple of hours. We've done really well. There's me thinking we might get 15 or 20 minutes out of this and we'll run out of things to talk about.
Look, Poppy and I knew that you had a story to tell. We wanted to hear it. We wanted to share it with the world. And
it's been super.
Yeah, now I lost my own train of thought. Could be the coffee. But Poppy, I'm sure you have something to say. You always have a story up your sleeve. Can I give the word to you, or do you want me to carry on? Do you really want that?
Sure. No, absolutely. No, what's been fascinating is Brian is so humble. He's so humble to the point of I look around, I feel bad that I had to build him, because he has literally helped so many people save so much money with his background. So when I look back, what can I say? Well, there's not much to say. I will say this: we're sitting here on Bitcoin at almost $50,000. Trust me, in the next 6 months, this shit will go wild. This will go wild, and everything Brian has talked about for the last 3 years will come to fruition. And he deserves all the kudos for it, because I tell you what, he has saved a lot of people a lot of money from selling.
Thank you, Guy.
I will second that, absolutely.
I say to people, aim towards right now, half a Bitcoin, 1 Bitcoin, just keep dollar cost averaging, because, I just believe that when this hyper Bitcoinization comes, when Bitcoin is the world reserve currency, it's a store of value, it's a unit account, however it all plays out, you're going to be looking at a half a Bitcoin worth $1 million upwards, more than that. Why wouldn't would that change your life, viewer listening to me now? When you look at your current life, would that make a difference? And people are missing the point that it is just about, if you can get to 0.3 of a Bitcoin, you are going to be in the most unique place if you've got a long-term, I always get this right, the long time horizon. Stop thinking of what you can get tomorrow. Start thinking about what this can give you in 3, 5, 10, 20 years, depending on, your age. Invest what you don't need to worry about. If it all goes belly up, you're okay, you move on. Elaine and I have got a really good Bitcoin position, okay? And if it all went tomorrow, I'd be crying into my pillow for weeks. But it would not stop my life moving on as it currently does today. And I think that's so important, to not go and put yourself in a situation where you've over leveraged and now you've got to sell some of your Bitcoin to pay bills or to make a trade, and now you're into the tax. I know you trade, Anders, but I say to people, the moment that you come out of Bitcoin back into fiat, you've created a taxable event. By UK law, at least, you've then got to fill in a complete tax return and put all your finances down. Oh my God, for just one exit from Bitcoin. So just build it up with what you've got that you can afford to put away and forget. And you just can't go wrong, in my opinion. What do I know? I'm just a crazy Brit who loves Bitcoin. And I want to talk about it twice a week. But I'd say to anybody, you're absolutely, in my opinion, I think you are doing you and your family a grave disservice not having a Bitcoin position of some description. I really believe that now. Institutions are talking about that now. It's now reckless not to have, a position in Bitcoin. I think for the common man, it is reckless not to put even, $100 away a month, if that's all you can afford, and just keep doing it. Because as Meister says again, Bitcoin is the new savings. It's the new, don't put your money into a bank savings account. You'll end up having to pay them to keep it there the way it's going. But you put it into Bitcoin, whatever it is, Anders, I'll be honest with you, I'm going to bare my soul to the audience. We were fortunate we put a lump sum in and we thought that would be our position. But I'm a typical Brit, and when I get my income, salary, wages, whatever you want to call it, every month I knew what I needed to put by to cover car expenses, family birthdays, holidays, and that went into a savings account. And last year I thought, no, Get it into Bitcoin right now. Keep a record of it, and then what you normally put aside each month into the traditional bank savings account, put it into Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is speculative, but you've got more chance of 2, 5, or 10xing your money having it in Bitcoin than you have got it in a bank savings account.
Yeah.
So we're still DCAing right now.
Right. And same here. Even though I kind of did the same as you, as you mentioned. I want to comment on that because Michael Saylor said something I think is really, really a great perspective. He says, but no, buying Bitcoin is not speculation, because if you are drowning in the high seas and somebody throws you a life raft, grabbing that is not speculation, that is survival. And buying Bitcoin now is survival, catching on. The and the rock pool has been unconfirmed. Let me finish probably before you jump in. So grabbing that life raft or whatever, life vest that is thrown to you, it's doing the only same thing in this tsunami of fiat currency, dirty fiat currency dilution. And once again, we got a rock pool from Pubby.
People, I need to get us through 50K.
Yeah, look, we're at 49,400. It's
Come
working.
on, people, pound the like button for 50K.
Just
Come on,
600 more, $600 more, and their scarves are armed, and they're there to. I will bring this to the Miami Heat in June. I don't care. I hope there's cold inside the conference local, because so thank you for that, Saya Sasa. I'm just quoting Michael Saylor here. It's not speculation. And there was something else you said before, Brian, but you called my attention with that note, so that slipped my mind. But we could always comment on, Greg is happy, Gazashwan, that Pubby is unable to keep the camera steady and has once again fallen from the seat. And by the way, so I think it's like an hour ago that we started, like you slowly, nicely started to say, thank you for having me on. We have long exits here. We have long
2
exits.
hours. 2 hours ago we've been going now, so that surprises the hell out of me, because I don't think I've got much to say.
Well, we can be lacking towards the end. That's fine. Especially, we'll just to not make our friend Pubby look bad for exit scamming early. If the earlier we end, the less early did he pull the rock on our dear viewers and chat. So wait, I just want to grab one thing up here from Trolls. Trolls, I would guess your noun is pronamed in Norway. In Norway, we have to report the value we have in crypto each year. That sounds dystopian, and they use it in the tax calculations. It is calculated as value, and when the value gets high enough, we have to pay taxes. They're doing the same thing in Holland. Get out, any country that wants to take your unrealized gains. I don't know what to say. Do you want to stand for that? You have an asset you can carry in your brain. Why do you want to stand for something like that?
Can I push back on what you've just said?
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree with you, get out. But of course, we've got to look at each individual again. And I'm a family man, and I've got 5 grandchildren, and I don't want to go to a country, where I can't see my grandkids very easily. So again, it's balancing up what is right for you.
Oh, yeah.
Your particular time in life. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I am currently at least looking into, the ease of getting a second citizenship, by investing in a country. I've been on a recent webinar that was about buying, into a teak farm in Panama. I don't really want to go down there. There's another one I'm looking into over the next week, I think, is Dominican Republic. But I'm just keeping my options open, because whilst I don't want to, leave my family, if that meant that the robbing so-and-sos were going to take a large chunk of my unrealized capital just because that's what they want to do, then it might be you need an exit strategy. And somebody said it is better to have it in place before you try to exit a stadium through one door and there's 10,000 people trying to get out at the same time, and now you can't get out. So I'm just evaluating all of that, not looking to do anything, but I'm learning about all of that as well, Anders. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important to focus on what's important in your life. You know, I have lived outside my country now for 16 years, and you know, I'm really you know, understanding the value of being able to more often be around my my, you know, good old friends and family. So I'll more be heading in that direction. But US is the fourth continent I've lived on in my lifetime, and you know, I consider myself a patriot of freedom and human rights, and I don't want anyone to just like nibble on my savings that I work for and that I took a risk on. So that's where I draw the line. I won't have that.
No, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
No, I get it. I get it. I get it.
So anyways, I think, you know, Pubby sent the signal. He exit scammed twice. He rug pulled twice. You know, I really want to thank you for being on, Brian. I'm so glad to meet Elaine, Mrs. Brian in the chat, and Buffy, your daughter. Good to see the good family values there. So I want to give you a chance to do some final plugs or mentions. I know that the dear viewers took your Twitter account to 800 followers during the stream. You are at 801 now. So and a shout out also to BTC Moon Guy and MG Smith 4. You guys mean a lot this show. You both know that. So if you want to do some final, you know, plugs, whatever you want to say, some final words, Brian, and then I will do the outro afterwards. The floor is yours.
Yeah, well, firstly, you know, one of the hardest things we have to do as content creators is try and get eyeballs on our shows for the masses to find. Institutions don't want to watch shows like mine, but what I want to do is get as many noobs finding my channel when they come in as possible, because what I try to do, and it might turn some people off, and that's okay, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I tell it as it is. I don't flower it up. I just try to inspire people to buy, get onto a Trezor, and then hold. So I would ask each and every one of you to subscribe to my channel, hit the bell button, and then click all so that you get notified when I go live twice a week. Come over and join our Bitcoin family in the chat. We've got, you know, a group of regulars that are always in the chat, you know, messing around but listening and making it what it is. You can follow me on YouTube. Well, basically, if you go to two of my websites, they've just got domain names that link to YouTube's. One is ukbitcoinmaster.com. That is where my show goes live. The other one is bitcoininterviews.com. Anders, I've interviewed Anders on my show. We'll do that again. I'm going to get Pubby on as well. Check those out. Follow me on Twitter at UK Bitcoin Master. I also have people don't like Facebook, and I don't like Facebook, but I've actually somehow managed to set up a Facebook page that's nothing to do with family and friends posting videos about dogs and cats and stuff. So if you go to facebook.com/UK Bitcoin Master, purely Bitcoin only. I'm on library.tv. My videos go up on BitChute. They're all at UK Bitcoin Master. So follow me, peeps. Come on over and enjoy. I go live every Monday and every Thursday at 6 p.m. London time. So if you can, come over and join us in the chat. We've got a great following, but what we've also got is once a month we have an offline meetup on Zoom where people that support and follow my channel can ask to be part of that Zoom call, that meetup, where we just get offline, if that makes sense, away from the public eye, and we talk Bitcoin and we get to know each other. And the criteria is you've got to be in my chat as often as you can and retweeting my tweets. So, you know, we've got that 21 million club going on as well. So there's a lot of good stuff going on. I'm pretty excited about it all. There's been many occasions I thought, shall I continue, shan't I? But I just can't let this thing go. So head over and support us. Share this out on your social media. I'd greatly appreciate it. Anders, massive thanks for having me on. I wondered how the heck it was going to go because I don't understand anything technical. We've been talking now for 2.25 hours and I actually can't believe it. It's a wonder we got anybody left in the chat, to be totally honest with you. But thank you and Pubby for having me on.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I told you, you'll be fine. Did I not tell you?
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
I did.
I'm okay behind my own camera, but going on somebody else's show as a guest tends to freak me out because, you know, I won't say it. Rocky will give me a right telling off if I do, but there you go. It freaks me out.
Yeah, but no one could tell that. And it's funny that you said that, like, let's not get into technicals on this show because you're not comfortable. Turns out you're a professional podcaster and you have 27 different social media platforms, and you put Toxic Happier absolutely to shame with your professional online media setup. Kudos to you, mate. And on that note, I'm going to do the final words from here, the outro. Be careful not storing more value in dirty fiat currency. It is a built-in policy to dilute the value of your savings. They told you it's a good idea. Think about it. Is it a good idea that you constantly give away the value of your savings because they print more dirty fiat currency? Obviously, it's not. Think, and think. And then I think Bitcoin makes a lot of sense. So careful not storing more value in dirty fiat than you need to use short term, because they will take it away when they print stimulus and other things. So on that note, thank you so much. Brian, you're welcome to hang out in the green room so we can say hi. And please, check out Brian's shirt. Don't panic, just hodl. Well said. Guys in the chat and viewing, thank you so much for hanging out and making a great contribution to us having a good time here. So until the next one, which is not scheduled yet, but I'm sure we're going to do something next week. Till the next one, bye for now.
Cheers, Anders. Thanks, everyone.